You are my glory.
Listen to that.
Sorry, y'all. I got bronchitis.
That's what you do. Take care of them. Yes. Mm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tea. I'm your host, Chauncey Anderson.
And I'm your co-host, Mayaka
In
Anderson.
today's session, we're going to be talking about love and marriage.
Yes, that's right, y'all. Love and marriage. We're gonna basically go through the historical form, uh, uh, historical background of love and marriage in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do on the T is about the Black community.
Yes.
We are here to support, uplift, and encourage and inspire
Mm-hmm.
our people to do better.
But we're not just going to start here at the water's edge of the United States. We're going to take you back just a little bit further
Just a little,
to the
y'all.
motherland,
That's right. That's
the
right.
continent of Africa, where the traditions started and were rooted for
And yeah,
the some 54 countries
right.
that are on that continent. And we just want to speak first and foremost about Africa and how they view marriage as being very sacred.
Very sacred. Marriage, as we looked up the
Mm-hmm.
definition of it in African terms, is basically, like Chauncey said, it is considered a sacred ceremony. It is sacred between a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, what they recognize it to do in Africa is it solidifies relationships.
Yes.
It enriches a community or a nation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about two people, but a community and a nation. It brings hope and it brings new life.
Mm-hmm.
It's also considered a rite of passage,
True.
a rite of passage, and it's a communal setup, a
Mm-hmm.
communal
Yes.
setup for parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the African definition of marriage and how they look upon marriage.
Yes, and also like brides, for instance, in Africa, are respected because they are seen as the link between the unborn and the ancestors.
That's right.
That right there holds so true as far as the life that for a woman.
Yes.
You should they were being revered in that true sense of
Right.
that womanhood and who they are.
Because they are birthing that next generation.
Right.
They're birthing that next new growth
Mm-hmm.
of people, new hope
Right.
within their community. And that is so important. And even if a bride cannot produce children,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't stop her responsibility from helping to take care of the children within the village. So every bride, every wife is a mother.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if you physically birth the child or not, you have a responsibility to help raise the children in the village and to make sure that they have a great start and push them forward into the future.
And as Maya said, and we even say it today here in America, that it does take a village to
To raise
raise
the
a
children.
child.
And that's where that saying comes from,
Mm-hmm.
back
Mm-hmm.
home.
Yes.
In Africa, it takes a village. It
Yes.
really does. And we've gotten away from that because we've taken on so much of the Western society thinking and mentality, and that is not who we are
No.
at all. So it does not bode well for us, and it's breaking down and killing our community. So what me and Chauncey did was we looked up the definition of marriage for the Western society, and you could look it up in a dictionary or online or whatever.
Right.
But what we saw was it basically said it's a established primary established form of marriage recognized in any given country or religious or social group at any given time. In that culture, traditional marriage requires the families of future bride and groom to engage in a ritual of visits and exchanging of gifts.
And that's basically,
And that's all.
It's just, like I say again, to paraphrase that definition is like,
Right.
I'm going to come and visit you,
Yes.
and then you're going to come visit us. And if we like what we see together,
Yes.
we're going to put our children together.
Right.
And that's no more, no less. That secretness of what marriage
Right.
is really, truly all about.
Does not hold true here.
It calls in Western society it calls more division than it does
Right.
actual longevity
Definitely.
of a marriage.
Because Western society really teaches you to be on your own.
True.
You do it on your own. You pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You're an island amongst your own.
Right.
You don't need to share. You don't need to look outside of yourself to get help, therapy, counseling, or whatever. And traditionally, Africa is not like that. We need each other.
Yes.
We're a communal people, and when you take us away from each other, we don't succeed. We don't do well, and you can see that to be very truthful in the Black community today.
Oh, no, we're all striving
yes,
to try to do it on our own.
On our own, and we can't.
We did this, I did this,
right.
or whatever. And in relationship to love and marriage,
yes,
there's a statistic and a breakdown that they speak, and this was back in 2016. They said that only 29% of African Americans were married.
Right.
As compared to 48% of all Americans.
Yes.
They said half or 50% of African Americans never married. That's here in the United States. And for us, we have gone through so much as it relates to, one,
yes.
coming from the motherland, two, being enslaved, then
right.
receiving our freedoms, fighting for our freedoms. I won't
exactly.
Say receiving it because we didn't receive nothing.
Nothing.
We
fought
with the clothes
and died
on our
for
back,
those things.
We had to trudge forward,
right,
to get to a point or to a place of where, it was viewed as even just doing slavery, to be married, and to be together was like an honor. The other statistic that they said, percentage of marriages in the Black community, they say when that doesn't happen, they say that communities fail to recognize the importance of marriage, and become self-destructive in a range of social, economics, and health issues like STDs.
Definitely, and you can see that it definitely rings true. I mean, it really does. You look at the Black community, self-destructive,
Yes.
anywhere from not getting your finances right, the breakdown of parenting, the fathers not in the home. Right. We have gangs. It's just a self-destructive situation because of the breakdown of the Black family. Right. Socially, the social skills, the way that we portray ourselves out in the community is so dismal and so disappointing on a grand scale. Economic. We have no power economically. We own nothing. We make nothing. We just have no pull anywhere. No. And so, it's crazy that people get upset when they see us portrayed by big business, media, or other groups in such a negative light. They don't care. They don't care because they have the power and they have the money, the economic standards to portray us the way they want to. Right. What do we have? We have the power to complain because we refuse to do the work so that we can also be on the same economic platform so that they cannot portray us like that. And then we have some leverage that we can go off to get those things changed. And as far as the health issues, being an island on your own, but you're out here sleeping around or you're having children and those diseases are coming in and killing the Black community. Exactly. So it is just, we're at dire straits. We have to change the narrative. Something has to change. And we need to go back to our roots and understanding what love and marriage really is about, because really it teaches you partnership, cooperation, sharing, empathy, selflessness. And those are just the tip of the icebergs of characteristics.
Yeah, and sacrifice.
And sacrifice. A big one is sacrifice. And learning to put aside, especially in the Black community, your pride and your ego.
Right. And so much of what we do, and you hate to have to say it, but this is that hard talk.
Yes, that we need.
This is that conversation that, generations ago, they did have this.
They had it.
Back during that day of slavery, nobody even seems to think it's not me.
Right.
That was them. This is
not me.
That's that individual
thinking.
Mindset that Maya is saying.
Yes.
That what we're trying to communicate or bring to the table, our ancestors did what they did so that we could here currently have that right.
Have the right.
Civil rights, but about 50 some odd years ago,
Yeah.
You know, those freedoms that were gained by our
Yes.
ancestors, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you know, John Lewis, and the many others, men and women,
Yes.
Coretta Scott King, you
That
know, the
were out there on the
light.
front line, and today the generations don't want to give them the
They don't even
respect
want to
that's due.
They do more
You get
disrespecting than they do
yes,
respecting.
they want to disrespect the ancestors that
Mm-hmm.
were murdered, that tried to do.
Right.
They want to disrespect those in civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
But these people did some great things. I
Truly.
mean, and they were out there. They didn't just talk about it or complain about it. They took action.
Yes.
And the fact that some of the people in the black community can sit and say such derogatory things about those that came before us is astounding. But that shows you that self-destructive behavior
That is so true.
when you don't have love in marriage, because it takes a man and a woman to
Yeah.
raise those children to have respect for the household,
That's so
the
true.
name they wear on their back,
Yep.
the elders, and their community.
That's so
But
true.
we do not have that. So that is why these mindsets sets in.
Oh, yeah, it's
And then we feel like we need to assimilate with this other culture
Yeah.
that we can't make it the way they live. We were never meant to.
No, I mean, and let's stop right there. And it's coming out of that time period, and especially like black women
Yes.
from that time of freedom or receiving their freedom. Black women were more likely to be married until we get to a period of the 1970s.
So what changed, y'all? 1970.
And I mean, and like I say again, you just had the clothes on your back at that point in time. Why is it at this point in this time period? And there are a few things that did go about. First and
Yes.
foremost, the man can no longer be in the house.
That man in the house rule. You want benefits, you want us to help, you can't have a man there.
This
And
is
then
the
men
devil.
during that day, they couldn't stay because they couldn't find a job.
Right.
So she's not receiving benefits and he can't find a job. Right there, we got a problem.
Right.
And we weren't creating our own jobs then
Nothing at
for
all.
some reason. So the woman ends up having the man of the house rule and there's no men. So the man is what? Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yes.
So wherever he laid his hat was his home. So every night, who knows where he was going
Truly.
to get his rest, to live, because he couldn't just stay in one household.
spot, yeah.
Yes.
Also, most of the women were forced to work in order
Yes.
to receive the benefits.
And
So,
this is something that I tell people with the white feminist movement. They fought because they wanted to work. This is something black women has been working ever since they stepped foot in this country. That's not a right we had to fight for.
No.
We didn't have to have a right to fight and take care of children. There's a lot of rights. The feminist movement is not for black women. We have our own specific struggles that no other woman on earth has had. And so we cannot group ourselves with the feminist movement. They are hurting our plight. We are not someone who can be on an island of our own, can do attitude. Yeah, black women can do anything,
Yes.
but we do it better when we have our kings next to us.
Truly. And, and the fact of the matter is that during that time, it was looked upon as that I don't need a man.
I don't need a man.
I
That's
hate
what
to have to
moved
say
in.
it, and it just transcends from generation to generation to generation.
Yes.
Let alone the young black men that were in those households.
Yes.
Without having a man there.
Yes.
How did they look? Who did they look up to?
Yes.
Along those lines. And most of the other things, from the war on drugs.
And the projects with
Yep.
Section 8 housing, we ended up learning to depend on the white man.
Yes.
And it's still
On the
that way
government.
to this day, systematically. We have gotten so comfortable with them giving us that we don't know how to go out and get on our own.
Truly.
And yeah, it is scary because, as a collective people, we've never done that.
No.
But that's when we get to learn to lean on each other and trust each other and understand that we are there to have each other's back. And once we do that, that fear dissipates.
Right.
Because you have a family underneath you that's saying,
that
hey,
support.
I got you. You don't have to go over there and get benefits. I got you. We're going to support you in your business
Yes.
or whatever it may be. And if
Whether
you
go
fall
to
on hard
school,
times,
education,
come
all
live
those
with
different
me,
things,
whatever.
you will
Yes.
then take those children, but this was a testament in the black community until such time that, even if you look at when it comes to men.
Yes.
We talked about the women up until 1970. The men, it went to the point of 1960.
60. So something
So
really
something
happened.
horrific came
Happened
about.
and changed.
Now, that being the case in point, when you look at history, again, we already know about that man not being able to be in the household.
Right.
But back in the 1890s, there were 23,000 black men that were incarcerated,
Yes.
imprisoned.
23
Now,
plus
this
thousand,
goes
yes.
into other laws that, black codes and
The slave codes, the black codes, all of
these
that.
other laws,
Just,
because of freedom, you had nothing else to do.
Right.
But let's go ahead and spring this forward to like the 1990s.
Yes.
You have over 572,000.
That's 500,000
black men incarcerated.
Yes, in 1990. That's 500,000 in 1990.
And
So imagine the numbers now.
Yeah.
And that was during the Reagan, Bush, and the Clinton, the black president era. Black people get so excited. We're just so fractured. We get excited if a white person can do the Dougie. We're excited when they get on a black TV show and they play the saxophone.
True.
All of a sudden, you're Uncle this, and we're going to indoctrinate you into the black community.
Yes.
But when you do your research, you will see how much Bill Clinton hurt the black community.
Mm-hmm. And true to form, we saw the things that were going on, but our participation in it, we didn't engage ourselves to do that which was the right thing. Come hell or high water, you have other communities. The Jewish community, you have the white community, the Hispanic or Mexican community, you have the Asian community,
the Indian community,
the Native American
yes.
community. Those people know how to come together, know how to band. They trust in the system. If one has to go, they don't choose to go at it alone. They will reach out to another and say, hey, can we do this together?
That's
how
right.
Can we come together?
Yes.
Help to raise. It may not be in that generation. It may be the next generation that benefit from what the fathers and the mothers did.
Right, but they're willing to sacrifice knowing that they're taking care of that next generation and that they'll be okay.
Yes.
We can't sacrifice a doggone dime today to each other. We always got something to say that's negative. We're always assuming on ourselves instead of stopping and ask the question, well, brother, why do you feel this way?
Right.
Sister, why do you feel this way? What happened that you saw that you feel like this issue is a problem or it's not a problem? Yeah. We are quick to judge, but we're never quick to sit down and listen to the story. Because like I always tell people, it's experiences. These people believe that because somewhere in their life they experienced this. And when you experience something, it's not right or wrong because it happened to you. But when we don't discuss things and talk and give each other that platform, that honor, love, and respect Chauncey always talks about, we start to, again, that self-destructive behavior because we took on the oppressive system mindset and we were never created to hold that up. No. It is not ours. They divided us and then they conquered us. And now we have to go back and really look at ourselves because we live in a lot of their lies and it's hard to take them off. I mean, you really have to think about taking it off, researching, and then trying to do something different than what they have. We don't have to do business like they do. They're very cutthroat. We're not a cutthroat people. No. We try to be, but we're really not. That's not really in our nature. We're a loving people. We want to incorporate people in, but people come in and they hurt us.
Right.
And
But that's just a matter of you knowing who is the ones that you deal with.
Right.
And the number one thing of it is sometimes they may start something, but what we end up doing, we become our own worst enemies.
Yes.
We hate on another person that's maybe trying to do something.
Yes.
Instead of giving that encouragement, it's like, why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this?
You'll never succeed along. You hear that in the schools. I mean, I think even former First Lady Michelle Obama just said recently she was told that she wasn't Princeton material.
Yeah. What is that? What is that?
I'm a student. I'm trying to get my degree.
Yes.
What does that have to do with it? It's so many other different areas that we could point out to it, but basically the truth on the African slavery and marriage, now back during that time period, that union was never even ever recognized. First and foremost, it was temporary, but what they did, they called it jumping the broom.
Right.
But because it was so temporary, and I think Maya explains this very well, I will just say that the master those that our ancestors were property of,
Yes.
they didn't recognize it.
They
but I'll
did
let
not.
Maya even, because
Yes.
you explained it so well.
Definitely. You wonder even why they would attempt to get married. And you got to think that back then, their traditions, even though they were over here, still there was some roots in their traditions. They still remembered back home. So, and like I said, marriage is so important in Africa, and that's the first institution they destroyed when we came over here. They didn't want you to get married because why? Because being married was a powerhouse. Having that husband and that wife together, that was power. That was economic power. That was knowledge. That was, team building. And then you're going to teach that to your children.
Oh, yeah.
They were scared of whatever that next generation would have come if they allowed marriages,
True.
So, they took the chance of getting married in secret. And later on, as slavery went on and progressed, some masters allowed their slaves to get married. But it was everything was so fleeting back then.
Right.
You didn't know if you were going to live to see tomorrow. You get married, your husband might get sold off. Your wife might get sold off. Maybe your wife gets raped and has to have the master's baby.
Right.
Like, there was just so much going on that commitment ended up being non-existent. Because you get married, but I get sold off. I'm going to get married again on another plantation, have some other kids, and through those years, it became so easy for a man to walk away from his responsibilities because it's been happening since day one. And then as we come forward and all of these Jim Crow, slave codes, black codes, then Jim Crow laws, still breaking down that family bond, still won't let you get married and become that powerhouse. But back then, it was really sad because not only did marriages, the commitment lacked, parenting lacked. Because now, guess what? Again, those black moms are left alone to raise those children.
Right.
And then you got to talk about the breeding process, where they would just have men come in and impregnate these women and then have these babies. But there was no love connection. They were just strangers, so that they could, up their property or expand whatever they were doing at the time, because we didn't even own our own bodies.
Right.
And that's
considered property.
Yes, that same slave mindset still lives today.
Even to this day.
To this day, young people talk about, I don't want to get married. I don't need a man for this. La la la. But you miss out on the virtues in the sacredness and the sexual energies and the building process of being married to a woman or being married to a man.
Right. And that like Mike was saying, that holds true even in today's society. Here in the 21st century, sometimes you do see that the man and woman won't get married, but they have a child out of wedlock. And then that child does see the father or doesn't see the father. Depends on what the mood may be.
Right.
But there's, no building together. There's these restrictions that are applied or put up on, or, the man's just not involved at all.
Yes.
He
No
has
decision
come and
making.
gone, and you're out here left. And so, like Maya was saying, that's where the plantation or the ghettos or, the projects and Section 8 housing and all that, you go to look for that assistance.
Yes.
Because you're not getting the assistance or the support that you need, let alone from that man. I mean, sometimes it enters into family.
Oh, and that is so true.
That's
and along with that is
hard part about
child support. I mean, there's a lot of black women out here, and they expect child support. That's another institution that they are leaning on for someone else to support their bad decision.
Right.
So you, and I know lots of women, so you decide that you're going to get pregnant to make this man become responsible or make this man become a father, knowing that is not his true intention.
Right.
And then you get upset with him, even though you knew his true colors, and then you want him to pay child support and wonder why he's upset. But your choices that you are making, and then you want someone else to fund
Right.
the responsibility of your bad choice. And that's a huge problem in the black community, not just with women and the children, but men also.
Yeah.
You go out here and do whatever you want, and then you expect someone else to come in and pay the consequence for you. But that's not how it works.
Right.
I've always told my children, you make sure when you make a decision that you're able to pay that consequence, because it's you that's going to be paying it. I'm not going to pay it. So whatever you choose, you better walk that decision all the way down and find out what it's going to look like at the end, because it's your behind on the line. But we do not hold each other accountable in the black community like that. It's always someone else's fault other than your own.
But that is Maya saying, that's what creates the imbalance.
Yes.
It's an imbalance within the black community as it relates to that marriage, the sacredness that we know holds true. If you're saying that you have a desire to be with someone and you want to have a relationship with them, there ought to come a point that you're communicating beyond you say that you love. I think the abuse that comes with that word, saying that you love somebody, is so, it's almost detrimental anymore, because it's really hollow. It's so shallow. I mean, it's
superficial.
nothing at which you can put on that.
Right.
Because that which you have to do, the sacrifice that you have to make, that selflessness of yourself, I mean, just as a couple, let alone bringing children
into the mix, yes.
You know, what do you do next there? You
right.
know, given that attention, I mean, we say in the good times and the bad times, in sickness and in health, but will you really go that route? If something did come about,
can you really hold it down by yourself if your partner got sick?
Right.
Can you really be able to go out there, maybe sacrifice your time and get a second job when extra bills come in? Yeah. I mean, this is when marriage gets real. That's when marriage gets real. But today, the young people can't cope. They have no coping skills, no communication skills. They're very selfish, so they're not willing to sacrifice anything for anyone else, even if they're married. So really, a lot of couples today are married, but they're really roommates.
Right.
You know, they're just really roommates. You do your own thing. I got my account over here. You got your account over here. Right. I'm doing this. You can do that. I mean, really, what was the purpose in getting married? Why would you go and marry someone when you are not ready to share in someone else's life?
An aspect of us also being a spiritual people, that's another thing that comes in. I mean, from us being knee-high to a grasshopper, most of us grew up in a church.
Yes.
Most of us have heard the sermons. Most of us have listened to the pastors or, you know, various preachers talk about when two come together, they become one.
Right.
You hear when you get married.
Yes.
But yet still, like Maya was saying, you all have separate this or separate that. And it's like, well, this is my money. No, this is your money.
Right.
And, you know, as long as it's flowing, you solid.
Yeah.
But
when something happened,
like, and then the rest of the family structure, you know, you don't seek the advice out.
Right.
For men, the elder men.
Yes.
It's like, oh, they old school, what they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize that some of those words that can be spoken
are worth
just
gold.
Jewels into
just gold.
And if you take that, and you can bring it very much 21st century.
Yes.
You know, it ain't nothing to it but to do it. And you can share with your loved one. You can share with your wife. And
that's what we need. We need our elders back. We need seasoned men. We need seasoned women. We need seasoned marriages. True. And we need mentors for the younger marriages. I know we would love to have a mentor for our marriage. Someone you can go to who's going to walk you through those steps in the most troubling times. But we must learn to trust each other. We must understand that your family and your community has your best intentions for your marriage to grow, and they want to see you prosper.
Oh yeah, even though you're going to be the one at work at.
Yes.
Like I say again, I always tell our son.
Yes.
We can only give suggestions.
Yes.
It's left up to you guys to work out.
To take that torch and run with it.
That you need to do. You can always give us a call. We can holler, but trust me, we love you to death. But that's your marriage.
Yes.
You know what?
That
You
goes
know,
for two of my daughters
yeah,
who's married. They
that are
call
married.
and ask about finances,
Mm-hmm.
and it is. You can give suggestions.
True.
That's what we're here for as
Mm-hmm.
elders. Come seek my wisdom. I've been through it. Let
Yes.
me tell you where this will take you, or
Mm-hmm.
this is what you need to watch out for. And that's what we need in the black community.
Right.
And right now, the black community really just they need their behinds whipped. We do. We need our behinds whipped because
It
the
goes
stuff
without
that we
saying.
allow to go on, the
Right.
foolishness, and then the fact that we will hold each other up in the foolishness is ridiculous. So we need to come together, especially with marriage,
Mm-hmm.
love and marriage, because like I said, that is your powerhouse.
Right. Yeah.
It is so important to the black community. We need that, and we need to be able to have pride in that, and we need to be able to understand that it's not something that you enter into. I know the pastors always say this, that you enter into lightly.
Right.
Think about what you're doing. Why are you getting married?
Mm-hmm.
Because good looks isn't going to get you there. Money sometimes can run out. Health can drain you,
Yes.
So you got to understand that the person you're married to, do they have integrity?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have good character?
Right.
Are they willing to be, can they sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
Do they understand the responsibilities of marriage?
Right.
You need to go deeper than just, oh, she looks good.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good. He drives a BMW or
Right.
whatever it is. We
Those
need to go
things
deeper than that.
Superficial things, the materialism
Yes.
that surrounds it. Love and marriage is. I think we just probably scratched the surface.
Just the surface.
And to get deeper into this, like I say again, sometimes it's going and talk to those elders that have those 40, 50 years of marriage and say,
beautiful.
how did you come about that?
How did you make it
Talk
through?
to some brothers and sisters that are your age, that are in the game of marriage,
Right.
that are going at it, that may have children, may not have children, even those that are thinking about it, that are engaged or whatever,
Right.
and just take a look at it and step back. Not that is anything wrong to really evaluate the decision, but when you do, it comes. I always say it comes at the cost that I am willing, not as the Bible says, do unto others as you would have them do unto do, or treat your loved one as you would treat yourself. Because I know how I like to be treated, so I'm gonna give that even more so to my wife.
And he does. He
so
really, really does. I have
family-
been truly blessed. But our 30 minutes are up. We're almost 3 minutes over. But we want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We will be here next Sunday, 7 p.m. You can catch us on Facebook Live every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Next Sunday we'll be talking about family, so a little bit of the love and marriage will probably spill over.
Blend in.
Yes, but we'll be talking about the construction of the family in the black community.
Oh, yes.
So we would love for you to join us. Make sure you chime in, and if you have questions, please type them in. We are really looking for people to get involved and help build and repair the pain and the heartbreak in the black community, so that we can move forward together.
That is so true.
Yes.
Maya said it well. Folks, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yes.
You guys have a great evening.
Yes,
Peace.
we love you.